Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Chris. Welcome back to the Ascendancy podcast for episode 6. I'm joined here with Austin, and today's episode is going to be a little more casual. We're going to talk about the topic of hobbies and, certain things that we like to do on the side when we're not doing activism or working, things that, interest us, things that give us fulfillment, joy or entertainment aside from, doing our normal routines. And we just wanted to branch out a little bit from the main topic of our podcast. It's kind of interrelated. We'll go into a little bit about why we think hobbies and having hobbies are important for activists in particular. And like we hinted in episode 1, part of our goal with this podcast is to just demonstrate to people that vegans are normal people just like everyone else. We're not crazy. We're not hippies. We're not drug addicts. We're not eating grass all day. We're just normal people who have a moral stance against animal exploitation. And yeah, I'm excited to get into this one. So, Austin, if you could go into a little bit, why you think it's important for vegan activists to have hobbies, things on the side that interest them, that, give them fulfillment and joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for everyone in general, it's good to have interests, hobbies, passions outside of just work and sustenance, just to allow us to interact in the world in a more fulfilling way and use our intellect and creativity to do something we find enjoyable. It's a way to add meaning to our lives, specifically as activists. It can be stressful, like dealing with the massive plight that animals face, and it can seem like an insurmountable battle at times, dealing with such a large scale problem that's so normalized in society. It can feel isolating and stressful to people. So I think it's good to have things that you can do to vent or take your mind off things, or just have a healthy relationship with your own life. So for those reasons, I would encourage everyone to get a hobby, do something to de-stress and have a creative pursuit. In general, it's good to explore new skills and to learn new things to keep our minds sharp and keep our neurons forming new patterns that are uplifting and helpful to us. But Chris, what's your take on that, and why do you think that having hobbies or interests outside of activism and work are worthwhile?
Yeah, that's well said. I agree with everything you said there. And, for individuals that maybe don't have hobbies, that's okay. And, for maybe those vegan activists who are able to, keep plowing and come in day out for the animals, more power to you. I really applaud you. I think, overall, most activists, it is healthy for them to have, hobbies and side interests to, just keep the battery, charged. Because if you're always doing activism, at least I found in my experience, as well as a lot of other activists, if you can easily just get burned out if you're just day in, day out only thinking about the plight of the animals 24/7, and just fully locked in for that amount of time can really just burn out the battery. And I think having hobbies is a good way to recharge and stay in this game long term, stay sustainable. But like I said, more power to you if you're someone who's able to, keep turning out for the animals, keep creating content, that's great. So that's my take on the subject. So, for me, I have a few hobbies in particular. I would like to share things I like to do on the side. And the first one that's really dear to me is playing guitar. So about 6 years ago, I started learning guitar, just self-teaching myself through YouTube. I got a guitar gifted to me by a friend of my mom's a few months before I, decided to start picking it up. And, I had that guitar just kind of chilling in the guitar bag in my room in college for a while, and I never quite picked it up to play it, but I just felt inspired. It was January 2019. I remember just really getting into different kinds of music, really branching out into the genre of metal music, really enjoying like Metallica's music, and they're still my favorite band to this day. And I had this guitar in this bag, and I was just like, one day I was like, I want to learn this guitar. I remember distinctly deciding to myself when I was on vacation, up in New York with my mom, like, coming this new year, I want to learn some Metallica songs on this guitar. Like I just really love their music. It really speaks to me, and I just decided to, hey, like let me learn a few riffs, a few licks from their songs. And ever since then, I've just continued to play consistently. I'm more of like an amateur guitarist. I'm not in a band yet. That's something I'm open to eventually. Just kind of practicing a lot in my room. I have my own amp. I have 3 guitars. So I have 1 acoustic guitar, 2 electric guitars, and I have this really amazing amplifier. It's called a Boss Katana. So it's kind of like a simulation amp where I can get so many different tones out of it, compared to like this little 12 by 12 Marshall amp that only has, gain or volume adjustments. So it's really been amazing for me. Playing guitar is like super cathartic. It allows me to, practice my dexterity and, learn how to play the songs that I love playing. So, I've branched out from Metallica. I've learned, Pink Floyd songs. That's another band that I really love. David Gilmour is one of my favorite guitarists, and some of the things he's been able to do on his guitar have inspired me to learn, some songs by them. I've also, gotten into other genres of metal. So, learned some Pantera songs, Slipknot songs, and, also really a fan of metalcore as well. So bands like Bullet for My Valentine, As I Lay Dying, just kind of learning all these different kinds of music. It was really empowering to me because it's like I can hear this, but then it's like, wow, I can actually learn these songs and play them as well, just kind of using YouTube as a guide. And it's just really amazing. And, I'm hopeful to continue to hone my skills and potentially maybe, form a band with people to write my own music. So right now it's just more of a hobby, but I'm really, grateful I picked it up. All these years later, I'm really happy I picked it up for sure. And I'm very grateful to my past self for deciding to do it because it's a skill I'm really proud that I have. And I'm planning on posting more on my YouTube channel and my Instagram this year. Just kind of recording some of my stuff, recording some of the songs that I love and, playing along to them. So that's something super important to me for sure.
Absolutely. And Chris, I've heard you play. You shred, man. You're a really great guitarist. Especially your renditions of Slipknot and Metallica are top notch. What have you found to be the most challenging songs you've learned to play?
Yeah, that's a good question. Definitely Megadeth songs.
Oh, for sure.
That's a popular thrash metal band, kind of in a similar genre to Metallica. Their songs are very, very technical, very difficult. So I would say like songs like Holy Wars, Tornado of Souls. I'm only able to play those songs at like a slow down speed.
Yeah,
Whereas
feel
like
that.
Metallica songs, I can play a lot of them full speed. Although Metallica does have some very difficult songs in their discography. So I would say like Megadeth songs like that, and certain Slipknot songs are pretty tough as well. Trying to think of some that I've played. Slipknot, yeah, Disaster Piece is pretty hard. So that's where I'm at, and I welcome the challenge. I really tried to learn these crazy hard songs because that's what really helped me get better in a short time. And I've learned some easy songs along the way, but something about that challenge of learning these really difficult riffs that are fast paced really stretches my mind, and I love that challenge. So yeah, I'm always trying to improve and get better.
Awesome, man. It's paying off. Highly recommend seeing Chris play because he's on another level and always improving. And it turns out you have a really similar taste in music to me as well. I heard a lot of bands there like Slipknot that I quite like as well. But yeah, what else? What else do you do as a hobby or main interest of yours?
Yeah, so another hobby I picked up just in the last few months actually is airsoft. So it was born out of a conversation I had with somebody who I know through my grandpa. Just kind of, I remember doing it in college one time with a few buddies, just going to the field, getting some rental guns. For those who don't know what airsoft is, let me just explain it quick. So it's basically a competitive sport where you use these replica weapons to shoot BBs at each other. So it's kind of like revolving around pain to some extent, but if you imagine like a really small sphere that's like you know, 6 millimeters wide, very small little plastic balls, and you're just shooting them at each other in a, you know, competitive sports setting, outdoors or indoors. That's what airsoft is. And really got into that just this past October. It's really fun. I think it really and combines a lot of my interests because there's athleticism involved, there's tactile awareness, there's, you know, maneuvering in space and trying to outplay your enemy with, you know, using cover and such like that. And it's really been a fun hobby for me. So I've actually, you know, dunked a little bit of money in there, picked up my own gear, my own airsoft gun, and I head out to the field every few weeks and just kind of meet up with some people and, you know, the certain faces that I recognize. You know, we shoot the shit and ask them about their, you know, their gear setups and stuff. And it's really fun to get out there. And it just felt like I needed a new hobby. You know, before picking it up, I just felt like, you know, I was kind of doing the same things. You know, playing guitar is fun and stuff, but I wanted something that was a little different that gets me out and about and something that exercises my competition because I don't play, you know, sports. I'm not in college anymore. You know, I can shoot a basketball around by myself, but I don't necessarily know anyone to play like pickup with. So picking up this hobby's been great because it allows me to, you know, feel that competition, that spirit of sport, trying to outplay my enemy and win games. And it's really exciting. So for me, airsoft has been one of my favorite hobbies that I picked up, and I plan to definitely keep going with it. And something I joke about with is, you know, I'm practicing for the draft. You know, if I'm drafted for the next war, I've done a little bit of a simulation practice. You know, hopefully that doesn't happen. So yeah,
Yeah, hopefully we see a much more peaceful time, over the next 4 years. I expect we will, and a lot of major conflicts will be resolved. But always good to stay sharp. But yeah, airsoft looks super fun. Looks like a big adrenaline rush, and I think I could see myself getting into it too. I did a bit of airsoft with friends when I was in like middle school, and it's a blast. Super fun. But from my take on it, is it sort of like paintball, except you use like more realistic like firearm replicas and maybe more realistic tactics, things of this nature. So seems really cool.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. So most people are more familiar with paintball. It's similar to that. However, the projectiles, like I said, it's just little small BBs that are, 6 millimeters wide. So it actually hurts less, I think, because like the paintballs are definitely bigger, I would say. And I'm not sure the exact parameters, but probably 15 to 20 millimeters wide. So, it's a larger surface area. So it definitely, I think most people say it tends to hurt more. Although airsoft BBs, that they definitely hurt and leave a welt if you get hit in the right spot. But yeah, it's cool to just kind of use these replica weapons and, these BBs, obviously they travel far faster than, paintballs. So it is more of like a realistic type of combat scenario. So yeah, Austin's asked me a few questions here and there about it. He's curious, so I'd be happy to maybe play some airsoft with you one day if I'm
Yeah,
down there
that'd be
where you
awesome.
live.
I want to get into it for sure.
Yep. So pivoting off from me, I'll save my last I guess hobby for later. What are some things that you like to do, Austin, in your spare time?
Yeah, so for like the last 5 years, I was one of these people who had no hobbies. I was just spending all my time working. I had a corporate job that paid well, and I would get a large bonus depending on my work output. So I was doing everything I could, to make as much money as possible. And all of my interests were finance related, activism related, gym related. But I'm currently self-employed. Paradoxically, when people become self-employed, their work hours usually shoot up. I've been able to scale back my work a bit while I have a bit more free time now. Still doing the same financially, so I've gotten back into some long-time hobbies I've had. I've always been into racing, car racing, go-kart racing. I have this simulator game, Gran Turismo 7, so I like to race competitively online. I've always been into motorsports, fitness. My friend Caesar got me into running. I visited him, did some activism with him, had a veganuary. It's like a vegan version of Thanksgiving. And there I did an impromptu 5K. and that got me back into running actually. So I've been doing some running here and there. I've been doing some cycling. I live on a large property, about 5 acres. I'm really into permaculture, agriculture, and this is a method of growing trees and various plants in a way that's sustainable and having the plants interplay with each other as far as like pollination and providing shade to produce a lot of fruit. I could be more into that. I have to say, I'd like to get more into it into the future. Um, I also travel quite a bit. My girlfriend lives overseas in Poland, so I've been to Europe, or go to Europe quite often. Been to France, Germany, Croatia, of course, Poland, the Netherlands, and I've traveled all across the U.S. to most states. Outside of a few states in the Midwest, I haven't been. And it's strange. I've never really considered myself to be a traveler or really like decided to jump into it. But it seems like just through like happenstance, organically, I found myself traveling quite a bit for work, meeting other activists. Just like I would travel to Europe to see my girlfriend, for example, and think, hey, let's check out Croatia. It looks beautiful there, and it is. It's been really cool to see how other places are, how life is in other countries. It's been interesting to me as well to see, like for example, Poland. I find is a very modern, very advanced country, so it's really cool. But as far as things I do, when I'm not traveling, when I'm not abroad, I would say into video games. Of course, I like Gran Turismo, like the simulated racing. Got this game, Cyberpunk. That's been pretty fun. Elden Ring was a great one of the best video games I've played. Like, I try not to get super into gaming. I find that it can be like a huge time sink, but every now and then I'll hop on and play a bit, so it's pretty cool. I'm really into learning everything I can about history, science, engineering. So I study quite a bit still. I watch a lot of YouTube videos on these subjects as well, and I'm learning Polish. I always wanted to learn a language. I heard that Polish is one of the most challenging languages, and I found it pretty fun. Um, of course, it's a great way to stay mentally sharp as well. Like, learning a new language has like an inverse relationship with like dementia and cognitive decline. So if you can learn a new language, you can find another way to keep your mind sharp. My favorite thing to do out of those is probably the racing simulators. I find really fun and really competitive. Like racing when it comes to go-karts, cars, even in the simulator, it's not so much about like just going pedal to the metal, like going flat out and just going fast. It's more like a race against time. So it's thinking about how to be strategic, how to get the fastest racing line possible, what's the best braking point, how to carry speed. So like racing is really a mastery of yourself more so than something competitive, and overtaking and the competitive aspect is a major part of it, but most of it is just having mastery over the car, the track, finding the fastest racing line. And there's some life lessons in racing as well. Like you think that you're really good and you can beat, say 80% of racers on a track in the same car, and then a pro comes along and destroys everyone, by several seconds on the track. And I find that something that, really is applicable to many areas of life, that you think you can hone in on something and be good at it, and you can get to, let's say, top 10%, top 20%, but there's always someone working harder than you, putting more hours into it. And that all those hours have like a few second advantage or even a 1 second advantage, but that's something that can be insurmountable. So I think when I look at that and I look at the lessons I've learned from it, it's that mastery of something and gaining that competitive edge takes a huge amount of time and a huge amount of effort. But yeah, that's what I have as far as hobbies. Chris, any
Yeah.
takeaways you have on that?
Yeah, those are cool hobbies. Something I wanted to ask is, as you travel to Europe, how was it in regards to obtaining, vegan food, vegan sustenance, and how was that compared to here in the United States, whether that be, quality, price, availability? I'm definitely curious to hear about that.
It's been super easy everywhere. It's been great everywhere. Poland, I would say the food prices are about a quarter of what they are here. I would say the quality is on a higher level, so no problem at all there. They have everything you could imagine, all of the vegan mock meats, dairy, cheeses, even vegan fish, like everything. Germany, same way. Germany is an interesting economy because like their wages or income is roughly similar to the US, but I find their food prices are still significantly lower and their vegan options are better too. Um, Croatia, and this could just be where I was in Croatia, but I found that they didn't have like purpose-made vegan options like vegan meats and vegan dairy or something like that. And I had zero difficulty being vegan there. Like I just ate more whole foods, pastas, fruits, vegetables. There's still tofu, things of this nature. And even in rural areas, far off, into the rural areas of like Poland or Croatia, I never had any difficulty being vegan or finding vegan options. And even in places where there's no vegan restaurants, I don't see any hindrance or any challenge. It's cool, to have vegan substitutes, vegan mock meats, etc. But it's just absolutely not necessary. And I found too, it was almost like a bit of a fun challenge, having no processed foods and replicating, the same recipes that I like and that I'm into without, finding these ready-made things. I quite liked it, and I thought, once I returned back to the city, I actually wanted to keep cooking that way. I just found it to be enjoyable, a bit healthier too. But I know you've done a bit of traveling yourself. Where have you been to, and what were your experiences like?
Yeah, so all the places I've been to Italy when I was younger. I wasn't vegan at the time. I was like maybe 9 or 10 years old. I was there for a family member's wedding, and don't remember much about options because it wasn't on my radar there. But I did go to Colombia, South America, a bunch of times between like 2015 to 2019. So, toward the 2019, 2018 era, that's when I first went vegan. I remember being able to easily get vegan options in the city I was at. I was there visiting family every time, so it wasn't like vacations with the boys. And I was there with my dad and his wife and their family, and we would often go to like the mall or go to restaurants, and it would be very easy to get vegan options. I think that has increased in availability over the past 10, 20 years. But in general, if you're not focused on getting like processed vegan substitutes and you just stick to whole foods, a lot of these restaurants can accommodate just whipping up a simple rice dish with some vegetables or, a potato dish or a pizza with no cheese and just veggies, red sauce. But, a lot of the restaurants I went to did have like specific vegan dishes that the chefs were making that were really good and also very affordable, just based on the currency exchange. So in my experiences down there in South America, it's definitely coming along. So yeah, that was my experience there with traveling.
Yeah, what did you find Colombia to be like? Because I've heard just such polar opposite stories of people traveling to Colombia. Like people will say it's the best place I've ever been, and it's just beautiful, and the people are so friendly. It's amazing. And then other people get kidnapped. So what's your perspective on traveling in Colombia? What's it like as a country?
I think it's come a long way. I'm familiar with the tattered past of Colombia regarding, drug cartels running the show, and heaps of violence and just drama, politics. And when I was there, I felt safe. I can say that. I was, there's definitely the poorer areas of the city I was in. I stayed in Medellin, which is one of the most populous cities in the country. It's basically built inside of a like kind of like in between a whole mountainscape. So there's a lot of altitude in certain parts, and then it kind of dips down. There's an airport in the middle of the city. So, of course, there's the poor areas, the areas that resemble, favela from Modern Warfare 2, Call of Duty, for anyone who played that video game. Areas that are definitely more impoverished. So we try to stay away from those areas because you never know what's going on. Those people are destitute, and they will, sort of understandably do anything they can to just get by. So we stayed away from those areas, trying to stay in the more middle class, high class income areas, and I felt safe. There wasn't any occurrences of anyone I know or anyone in my family being kidnapped or drugged or anything like that. And with that said, I wasn't engaging in like the nightlife scene. I wasn't going to sketchy areas. So I think it just depends what you do there and where you are. I think that's a huge component to how your experiences of Colombia and probably other South American countries. But it's important to stay on watch and be on the lookout because there are predators who are on the lookout for Americans who are just naive and just ignorant of how the world really can be down there, and you can end up in a world of hurt. So overall, I really enjoyed my time there. Really great weather. They call it like the city of eternal spring, I believe. It's always like 70 degrees, cool, sunny. Uh, so yeah,
Yeah, it sounds like it's how a lot of places are. There's good areas, some sketchy areas they have to be vigilant about. Um, but it sounds like it can be quite a good time in Medellin. I've seen photos of it. It looks beautiful, nestled in the mountains there, and uh, I've spent most of my time traveling in Poland, and I find it to be such a nice country. And one thing that is just mind blowing is like the crime statistics. I think like the homicide rate there is like less than a tenth of what it is in America, and it's such a different vibe. It feels like people are less on edge. It's just a nicer environment. You can like walk around everywhere, use public transport to go virtually everywhere. Even in like the more rural areas, you can hop on a high-speed train, go somewhere with your bike, and go off and cycle around. So I find that in Europe, especially in Poland, it's so much less reliant on cars for transportation. I find that to be a really cool thing about it. I found the people there to be really friendly too. Like I work out in the gym every day. I've been since I was, 18, and I've only made maybe one or two friends in the gym in like a decade in America. When I'm in Poland, like I found that people were more eager, to talk and socialize a bit more, and it just seemed like a more positive atmosphere all around than in America. I think maybe because it's a safer country that people are more open, as opposed to in America. Um, I find that the vegan movement is doing really well there. I found there's far more vegans there, far more vegan restaurants, and it's interesting. I think a lot of Americans have like an inflated sense of the country, or at least in the past, maybe not so much now. But I found Poland to be really nice. I preferred it to most of the other countries in Europe. I preferred it much more than Germany or France, for example, which a lot of people really like. But traveling to me has been extremely eye-opening as far as like how life can be different. And I think it's just really important to expose ourselves to new ideas, um, new cultures, etc.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And branching off that, your experience with just the people there and working out and making friends at the gym, I think it's a good final maybe hobby to end the video on. I think it's super important to both of us, fitness. We talked about this a few episodes ago, and we had a whole episode about fitness. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. But for me, I would call fitness a hobby. I work out 5 days a week, and I do it just out of pure fulfillment and joy. Like part of it's discipline. I want to stay in good shape. I want to be a good representative for the plant-based lifestyle, the vegan lifestyle, and it's really great just getting in there and working out, just getting some of that frustration out that I have, from activism, from the horrible reality that animals endure every day. It definitely weighs on my conscience all the time, and working out, it's a great way to just move that energy around, get the blood flowing, get those endorphins going, and it's just there's nothing like a really good workout and just feeling better afterward. I can go into a workout feeling a little lethargic, a little lazy, a little upset, but if I work hard and I move those weights and I skip that rope, I just feel like a whole different person after, and it gives me more energy for the rest of the day. Contrary to what people might think, if you work out, you'll be really tired. For me, it really just enlivens me, and I hope to continue to make progress into my late 20s and my early 30s. Keep becoming the best vegan soldier I can be. So for you, Austin, how important is fitness to you as a hobby and helping you out?
Oh, extremely important. It's one of my favorite things to do. And when I'm not working out, I am researching all about fitness, nutrition, dietetics, health, longevity in general, and I find working out to be a crucial component of it. I really like it. I find it to be a lot of fun to not so much chase like the pump, but to chase a PR. I think Chris and I have a similar training philosophy where we focus on calisthenics, especially weighted calisthenics. So just trying to push myself and get, another rep with like a set of weighted pull-ups or dips. I don't know. I just find it to be really enjoyable. And when it comes to all of like the positive advantages of hobbies, like, de-stressing, having a healthy impact on our life, I think that working out is like a power law. It's one of the most important things we can do. As far as all of the benefits of a hobby, it's really up there.
Yeah, for sure, man. So as we round out the episode here, I want to thank you guys for watching, and feel free to share down below any hobbies rather that you have. We'd love to see what you guys are into, what you enjoy doing on the side. It would be really cool to see, and just leave a comment down below. This is Chris signing out.
Hey, thanks.